if you are having gut-related issues in the bloating, IBS, all of that sort of thing, so your process would be using a house on fire analogy. Stop setting the house on fire, obviously, but that's, a lot of people aren't. They keep eating the foods that they know cause issues, or they're not even trying to identify the foods that they know cause issues. So stop setting the house on fire, strip it back to the simple foods that you know is good. And look, you can do that for 1 to 2 weeks. Eat a boring as hell diet, or screw up your bulking, or whatever the hell, for 1 to 2 weeks to get your health on track, to get your gut health on track. That makes a lot of sense. You will win overall, in my opinion. Once you stop setting the house on fire, put out the fire, that's things. So glutamine is kind of, it's not really putting out the fire. I guess it's somewhat managing some of the effect of the fire to stop it escalating further. But then things like the taking in psyllium and inulin husk, that is increasing your short-chain fatty acid production. That is making it anti-inflammatory, which puts out the fire. The tributyrin is your direct putting out the fire. So putting out the fire is your psyllium and inulin, prebiotics, tributyrin, postbiotic, all with the goal of having that short-chain fatty acid postbiotic in abundance to put the fire out. Glutamine to help stay on top of how much damage the fire is doing. You could say containing damage. Rebuilding the house, you would call promoting the growth of the bacteria we like and the intestinal lining. So at that stage, you should hopefully no longer need the tributyrin, because you're getting your gut to a position where you're making enough short-chain fatty acids with your own gut bacteria. And so at that stage, you're going to keep that glutamine in and keep the psyllium and inulin, but not the tributyrin. So the glutamine, high dosing, remembering, like 30 grams a day, 20 grams bare minimum if it's not a significant issue. Background noise. And yeah, focus on building that up. Once it's into a good place, then that's where I would say we can like move the people back into, say you got flatmates. The problem flatmates that set the house on fire, that's when you can start moving people back in and finding out which one was like the really bad issue and which one your guts couldn't really handle because the fire was raging, you could say. So that's one by one, bring the problem foods back in, establish which is worse, Like it's a process of elimination. Do it slowly. Standard things. There's a bunch of people that have their gut people out there that have their special processes for it. That's pretty simple in my opinion. It's identify, like, okay, was this a high risk food? Okay, I'm gonna keep everything else in my day really good, and probably a couple days, because guts is a couple day thing. And then I'm just gonna have a little bit. Let's see what happens. Do that a little bit. Don't bring in 5 things at once. Don't go out for Maccas or some shit. Okay, so we're moving people back in. Once we've kind of established the issue people, flatmates that we don't want in, and the flatmates that were actually just all good, it's just being in a house on fire sucks, then maintain it. And at that maintenance stage, I would say ideally, you won't need the glutamine anymore. So you look to decrease that dosing of glutamine right down to nothing, and you can pay attention to how your gut health has gone. But at the maintenance stage, you shouldn't need glutamine, because that glutamine was in there to solve a deficiency situation, because you had a massive inflammatory load and increased amount of damage to tissue because of it, and you're trying to keep up with regenerating tissue accordingly. So hopefully dial down that glutamine. I'd just do it slowly, decrease 5 grams a week or something like that till you're down to nothing. And which, till you're down to 5 grams. Once you're down to 5 grams, you're basically at nothing in my books. And see if that's meaningful. So that eventually what you can do is you just get to a final point where you're keeping the psyllium and inulin in, because I'll wager that you're not having enough good fibers in your diet, and this is how you got into the problem in the first place, aside from all the alcohol and other things that you were having. And this is kind of just your catch of like, hey, I'm going to make sure that I don't end up in the same position as previously. We have this as a bit of a safeguard, and things like psyllium and inulin, they like create this kind of like a layering along your guts too, which do help reduce damage from alcohol, etc. Which I suspect is what this time of year, why it always kicks up this time of year. It will also decrease the uptake of ethanol across the gut, so you will get less drunk. I would factor that in. And then, yeah, just keep that in, maintain, and carry on. Products-wise, Digest Max, like half scoop, quarter scoop, that's like your cool maintenance. But glutamine, only for when things are real bad. And some people have arguments for greens combination due to the antioxidant value. Cool. I would go for a more evidence-based approach. Greens have their place. Gut health is maybe a part of it, but that's not why I bring in the greens. The total antioxidant value in itself throughout whole liver and other things is where it really gets good. And specifically this one, the reason is the artichoke extract. That's the big winner in there for the liver and many other functions. So, if you want to get a little bit more novel, and you're just really not getting tributyrin for whatever reason, you can't get it, then other anti-inflammatory things will help. A good one is palmitoyl aka Levagen. That I believe there is actually some direct gut research, but also, just again, you think you got a high inflammatory load. What do we need to respond to inflammatory loads? Well, one of the things our body normally has is palmitoyl. We get deficient in palmitoyl when we have an ongoing high inflammatory load, and therefore supplementing with extra is good. Other things like glutathione can be depleted when under high inflammatory loads. That's the thing to think about. But like right here, I'm talking about icings on top. We're looking at downstream stuff. This is not the root cause. Always address initial problem first. MSM is the other one. That helps to put a cap on your inflammatory response. You could say it's like it's putting a limiter on the speedo type thing. But again, like it may help you get it under control, but it's not addressing root cause. So always address root cause first. Things like these can be of definite value. Glutathione max would be another one that's of value. Curcumin, ginger, all of those, great value. Licorice extracts, they help with blood flow around. Again, help, like the glutamine helping to restore, good value. But again, address the cause before jumping into everything else. So that's that. I said I'd keep it as short as possible. I think that is long enough. Any questions, you can shoot messages in and we can address your individual case. And what I would say too is that if you do want to do actual learning around it, not just watching some videos on social media, like stuff that you can really digest in and learn properly, highly recommend. There's an audiobook on Audible called Gut by someone. I'll put it in the comment of this, or you can ask me, but it's just called Gut, and that was fantastic. I've read it maybe like 3 times over the years. It's older, and so there may be more research out since, but she does an exceptional job of talking through things and explaining things that are really not covered by your basic gut gurus on the social medias and all of that. So yes, good book, highly encouraged, and I am out.